When I think of cameras, I think of the Japanese leaders, Canon, Nikon, Fujifilm and so on. It's only after Japan that Germany comes into mind. Once a powerhouse in regards to cameras, but nowadays mostly just known for their star, Leica. However, Germany was a significant player in the world of cameras, just not as much in this century, so that especially people in my generation often don't know many old German camera brands. However, once you get into film photography, the gates to the old world open up. This here is an old camera by a German company called Ihagee Dresden. This company, despite it not being particularly well known nowadays, actually did some great work and had significant influence on the design of cameras today. And in today's video, I would like to tell you a little bit about them and then take you with me on a warm summer evening shoot with a camera of theirs called the Exa. Let's begin.
Roll up my window, don't know where I'm bound. Driving by the river, there's a hole in the ground.
Back in the days, more than a century ago, in 1912, a Dutch businessman by the name of Johann Steenbergen founded a company in this city here in the east of Germany, Dresden. What this company became well known for is the cameras it produced. In fact, their arguably greatest contribution to the world of cameras is the Kine Exacta, which was the first ever SLR film camera for 35mm film that went into mass production. The Kine Exacta was released in 1936, and it was only after the Second World War in 1949 that Ihagee also began producing the Exa camera. The Exa was considered a good but slightly less sophisticated camera that would be the ideal entry-level model for aspiring photographers. And they sure were happy with their design work and produced the camera for a long time. Having begun production in 1949, they kept it up until 1990, so 41 years of time to produce, as far as I could find out, almost 1 million Exa cameras. However, despite the many cameras, nowadays Ihagee is barely known. The company was devastated during the war, its founder fled Germany, and after Dresden fell under the Soviet control, Ihagee was absorbed into East Germany's state-run camera industry. The company slowly lost its independence as it was taken over, and while Ihagee kept producing the same design, the Japanese camera makers were rapidly taking over the global market with their new designs. In the end, as far as I understand it, Ihagee simply couldn't keep up, and the brand just quietly disappeared. In any case, I do not actually know the precise age of this particular camera that I was able to get my hands on. This could have been produced in 1990, it could literally be the last one that was ever made, or it's been around for much longer, since 1949, I don't know. But this design is clearly quite different to my other SLRs from the 70s and 80s, seeing as they just kept producing the Exa as it was designed in the 40s. And I must say that's kind of why I like it. It looks different, it's a fun change of rhythm when shooting with it, so let's take a closer look at the Exa. This is it, the beautiful Exa. Its shape is a bit boxy with a wide square prism on top that can be opened to reveal the viewfinder. This here is one of the most satisfying things I've done with any camera. To the left of the prism, the camera has a lever instead of a wheel to set the shutter speed. The choice of speeds is rather limited, with the fastest being 1/150th of a second and the lowest, apart from bulb mode, being 1/25th. To the left of the lever is a wheel you'll find on many SLR cameras. This is just used to wind the film back into its canister after shooting. And then on the right, there's another wheel of the same kind. This one is used to advance the film after taking a photograph. And next to the wheel, you'll find a frame counter and the button that you press to release the film before winding it back. Now, you might be wondering, hold up, where's the shutter button? That is at the front, right here, and it comes with this useful cover that protects the shutter so that the photographer doesn't mistakenly press it and waste a frame, which is a feature that I really like. I think that's pretty cool. The lens I have on this camera is a Tessar 50mm f2.8 by Carl Zeiss Jena. One more thing I would like to point out is the beautiful typography and other scribbly looking design features that I find rather intriguing. I love the oddly different style of the camera's name and this little arrow with a feather at the end of it. Overall, I love this camera for its aesthetics, not particularly for its usability. I think there's a good reason why the SLRs from the 70s and 80s look different. Their design is an evolution and made shooting easier and more efficient. This design is quite old school, I'd argue, but as said, I really enjoy the change of rhythm every now and then. And so a couple weeks ago, I found a neat location where I thought it could be fun to take the XR for a spin. So let me take you with me on that session to show you some photographs taken with the XR. However, before that, in case you, like the product designers at Ihagee, happen to be a camera designer yourself and produce your own cameras, unlike back in the days of Ihagee, nowadays you can sell those online thanks to your own website that I would recommend making with the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. I myself have been using Squarespace for over 5 years at this point, and it's perfect for people like me who are creatives but not web developers. They're an all-in-one platform, so with your subscription you can make a website, host your content, register your own domain name, sell products, track analytics, and much more. They have this lovely, intuitive drag-and-drop editor called Fluid Engine, which is so easy to use and lets you customize the layout and design of your page. If you need some help when getting started, you can start off with one of the many professional and beautifully designed templates, which you can then customize to suit your own style. Or you can work with Squarespace's AI, which enables you to build a website in minutes by describing it and answering a few questions. All in all, what I think Squarespace is great at is combining creative freedom with ease of use, which I really appreciate. Try it out for yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, and then when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/Crawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for continuously supporting the channel. And now let's explore the Austrian countryside with the Ihagee Dresden XR.
Yardstick ball in order. Never did much to set.
The location I picked for this session is a mountain not far from Innsbruck. It's right outside of the small town of Wattens, which you probably don't know, but you might know a famous jewellery brand from there. It's called Swarovski. Just a random fun fact that I thought could be added to this part of the video. Anyway, Wattens, just like Innsbruck, is pinched in between mountains, and one of the mountains appear to have some beautiful roads on the west-facing side of it that could make for a neat spot to enjoy the sunset.
Honey on the knife blade, I got a new cannon.
While driving, I spotted some potentially cool subjects that could be worth shooting, but obviously I just can't stop anywhere. Luckily, I found a place to just pull over to the side for a bit and see if I could capture some views.
Brimstone bombshell.
Okay.
Here is shot number 1, and I think it's an alright start. I like the framing.
Shot number 1. Let's get one more over there. Spot there, okay.
This one is also not too bad. I just love the epic looking mountain range.
Let's get a shot of those beautiful houses there.
Here's the result, and I like this one. I appreciate the layers with the houses in the foreground and the mountains rising above behind. Though it's nothing particularly special, photographically speaking, just the subject is very pretty.
Right against the monochrome, where I felt so small. I drew the curtains up,
Not the prettiest car, but let's get it
pulled
anyway.
away the blinds. Heard a rushing wind through the windows of my mind, and I began to glow with the love.
Here I was trying to get a shot of the road with the mountains in the background and the cute flowers on the left in frame. The result is okay. The scene is very pretty, but I wish I just had a bit more dynamic range. The shadow area on the left is just a bit too dark. Here, I shot a similar photo, but this time focused much more on the flowers, which I think works much better. This photograph has a clear subject while also showing off the pretty location, unlike the previous one, which felt like it was lacking a clear subject.
was a boy, rolled up like a cigarette. Jacket didn't
Okay, let's try to get a shot of that there.
leather made me sweat. All the time I shook it off, turned to face the breeze.
So that car's going to come there now. Let's try to get a shot of it passing by.
Caught in the little things. Shine, shine,
Sweet.
shine, shine in the naked light of that night. Shine, shine.
I think this one, despite it kind of lacking that special something, is actually quite sweet. It captures that idyllic Austrian mountain feeling with the forests, layers of peaks and the cute clouds in the sky. At this moment, I spotted an interesting vehicle approaching the junction of the road, which could be a neat position for the vehicle as a photographic subject. Here's the result, and I think it turned out alright. The subject adds that little bit that brings the scene to life, and the scenery is quite epic, I think at least.
Shoot, let's try to get that. That was a very impulsive shot. Not sure if it was worth it, but you know, that vehicle was a bit more interesting than the normal cars passing by.
Yes, the vehicle is certainly more interesting, but unfortunately I think the photo really didn't turn out to be particularly memorable.
Beyond the cliffs, there's a breaker in the wall. I'd never gone that far, roving in the dark. Climbing the basin, there were bands of
I'll see the pole there.
in a murmuration, I fell into the pool. Another rugged mile pointed to the moon.
See if I can get a shot of this here.
In conversation with an unseen voice.
This one, I don't know, it looked much cooler in my head and kind of still does, just the execution didn't result in what I had imagined. There's a house in the field with a gorgeous view into the sunset with trees and mountains in the background. Sounds like an amazing photograph to me, however this, I don't know, it just doesn't look good. It's a little shaky and I think the two roads in the foreground mess up a lot. Well, that's photography, you win some, you lose some.
Have to take what I
Sat in
get.
the shadow of a ponderosa pine with a reed.
So if that biker is going through there, I am definitely getting that shot. It's looking good.
This one turned out pretty neat in my opinion. I like the composition with the two big trees in the center and the bike passing through. The lighting is a bit tough though, and I can't help but feel that this film is messing with the colors a little bit, or maybe it's just my scans, but the greens just don't look as good as they did in real life.
So I think that might have been a pretty good one, hopefully.
By the way, something worth pointing out with the XL is that the camera is actually quite tricky to shoot with, especially when first starting out. The prism viewfinder is cool, however when you look inside you're going to see a mirrored image, so everything that is actually on the left of the frame will appear on the right and vice versa. This makes composing rather tricky because, at least my brain, really dislikes this horizontal flip when seeing a scene first and then looking at it the other way around when viewing the scene through the viewfinder. It's a bit visually confusing.
So let's see if we can get a decent shot of this here.
Foi a alma que morreu, tudo escureceu, bem ao meio-dia, foi no apogeu, quem diria que seria o fim. coração não mente. O amor é uma teoria explicada por gente.
This one is not bad. I like the pole with a cable and the massive mountain that is slowly fading and yet majestically lurking in the background.
Se foi uma ilusão, porque some o chão.
I was too slow, there was someone with a dog.
Foi sonho que morreu.
I tried to capture some of the action going on down there, but even with the 50mm lens, that was just a bit too far away.
Whatever, you can't have everything.
D'onde vem a dor? Quando o sol se pôs, pensei em nós dois. Foi a alma que morreu. Tudo escureceu. Bem ao meio
those two.
dia, foi no ar.
Get some more distance. Now I think. That could work, yeah.
Que seria o fim de você.
I don't know what the cause is, but I'm not particularly happy with the colours I got on this session. I don't think it's the camera's fault, maybe the film was kept too warm or something, or my scans are just off, but the colours just don't look as good as they actually did. But I know that this film is capable of much better colours, so that's a little disappointing, but that's part of film photography. It doesn't always work perfectly. This one is actually quite nice. I like the scenery and the way the background fades away in the distance looks quite interesting. It adds some atmosphere. I also love getting the farmer in frame, though this might be a little too small and insignificant in the composition.
Protective of my peace, I can feel your arms. You can't bring me down, can't bring me down. Let's cool down, baby. Let's cool down, baby. Let's cool down, baby. Let's cool down.
This is an interesting shot of the farmer, I find. The composition, with the fences acting as additional elements, is pleasant, though I find the massive hazy flare less pleasant. A little too much. I suppose the lens just doesn't take sunlight from that angle particularly well.
How we feel protective of my peace. I can feel your arms. You can't bring me down, can't bring me down.
I thought this was a cool chance to get a couple more photos of the farmer in this evening sunlight. And this one I think turned out alright actually. Unlike the previous ones, this one didn't get that big hazy flare and looks much clearer than the other ones.
How do I say goodbye?
Servus.
Caroline, heaven knows I'd stay, but I have to run. Here calling.
Alright, so I'm afraid I might have slightly messed up the mission. I kind of just got lost in shooting, and I think I finished the film. I forgot to rewind the counter, so the counters are wrong anyway, but I can't wind the film any further, so I somehow have already shot 36 photos apparently. It didn't feel like it. I don't want to waste the sunset. I kind of just want to stay here, but we won't be getting it on film, sadly. I didn't bring any extra film, so yeah, that's what I get for not keeping count, I suppose.
Well, so that was a bit of a sudden end, but it was alright. I enjoyed the rest of the sunset anyway, and shot a couple pretty video clips instead. My main intention was to just have some fun with the EXA again and enjoy using it, which I did. Unfortunately, I think most of the photos didn't turn out particularly good, but I think that's not due to the EXA. It has something to do with the film, or my scans, or something else that I'm missing maybe. In any case, this session certainly didn't yield the best photographs of mine, but still, I had a good time, and that is what counts in photography. We shouldn't put too much pressure on ourselves. I hope you enjoyed coming along and seeing this camera in action. If you ever get the chance to try this style of camera, I'd recommend giving it a go for the fun of it. It's quite a unique experience. Anyway, before saying goodbye, I would like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people supporting me and my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, tutorials and stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. Also, I have a print job by the way, in case that is of interest to you, also in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.